People, oh my God, it's young Semaj. What's going on, people? Today is a very cool day. Today y'all gonna be following me and my pops as we go look up the church history. He's gonna look up the church history. I've got another thing planned. I'm going to be looking up our family history. See if I can find my great-great-grandfather. Don't know his name. So that's what I'm going to be trying to figure out. What's my great-great-grandfather's name?
You know what, man? I make no excuses. From the bottom to the top, huh?
RocketPro.com.
Yeah, you already know my style. Mostly mild, but sometimes you catch me going wild. What you expect? I'm the runt, I'm the youngest child. A nigga had to fight to live, a miracle to heal me now. A late bloomer, but I think I'm finally feeling out. I sat at the table, anteed up, can't blame the dealer now. And even if I did, wouldn't change the amount that I was about to count. Don't count me out unless you really counting backwards now. And when you get the one, make sure you stop and be bowing down.
But look behind me. See that building behind me, the white building? That's where me and my pops just left. I took pictures while we was in there. So, you know, we down here in Chester. It was crazy, man, because I went in there and we went in there and we asked for the deed for Bethel United Methodist, and the lady, she saw the most recent one, and then she was like, oh, I see one from way back. And then I said, how far back? Because that's kind of what we interested in. And she said 1883. So we went in there. I got the pictures. We went in there and we reading books. We read stuff that they wrote in 1883. And it got John Dunham. It got Moses Dunham. So that's what we up here now at the health department. We're at the health department trying to figure out who John Dunham and Moses Dunham. So, because here's the thing. We know who my great-grandfather is, but we don't know who my great-great-grandfather is. So my pops knows his great-grandfather, but he doesn't, my pops knows his grandfather, but he doesn't know his his great-grandfather, which is my great-great-grandfather. So that could be John Dunham or Moses Dunham. If that's John Dunham or Moses Dunham, man, whoo, that's gonna make me feel so good. I didn't really expect for this to be happening, so I'm glad I'm getting this footage, man. It's crazy. So we're down here in Chester. We're looking up history about the church, and like I told y'all, I was gonna try to find some history about myself, and it's crazy. The Dunhams is in the history books, 1883. Let's go. Now, about to see if we can find some records, and we just left and saw our names on the deeds. Well, we saw John Dunham, Moses Dunham. So we're trying to figure out who John Dunham and Moses Dunham is.
This is
what church is that?
Bethel United Methodist. That's on Keegan Road, Lansford, like area.
Okay.
Yeah, they ain't got nothing to do.
So what happened now?
They said that they, now what's going on, they said that York County and Chester County have merged with the records for us to birth records and things, so, and they're probably so old that we're probably gonna have to go to this archive here.
Okay. But all right, so basically, like Pop said, they told us they send all of their death certificates and all that basically to South Carolina archives. So I guess all of the counties in South Carolina send it to South Carolina, the state of South Carolina, for their archives.
That's in Columbia, South Carolina.
And so they gave us a number. They gave us a number to call and everything like that right now, but they said that Chester particularly has a good archive and good historic at the library. So we're on our way. We're on our way to the library right now to see if we can find out who John Dunham and Moses Dunham and Philip Rivers, that's a quarterback. One of the Rivers. We got the paperwork though. So yeah, this is interesting. Hopefully, I'm thinking Moses Dunham. I'm going more. I'm going. Oh no, John Dunham was the big dog. John Dunham was the big dog on the thing. So John Dunham is hopefully John Dunham is his great great grandpops. You know what I'm saying?
John Dunham, man. 'Cause, we had some people named John Dunham. We had some uncles named John Dunham. John Lee Dunham.
John Bad West.
Yeah, John Bad.
Same space. Chester County Library. Getting us in that room. And it guy's nice and like it's secured.
How you doing?
Chester vertical.
Okay.
And
Let's see what we got here.
because we're looking for
Dunham. Dunham. N come
It
before.
should have been here. It should be here.
so that's
DUN,
Dunham.
yeah. Cause Dunlap.
Yeah.
Yeah. If we got anything, that's
It
where it
should
would
be
be.
there.
Okay.
Man, are you serious? Let's look down one more
Yeah.
anyway. Then. Let's look
One
down
more
one
name.
more anyway.
Yeah. And that would be up here, and it starts with an E.
Here's Hicklin, that guy that was on the thing.
Yeah.
That's one of the guys.
And were you looking for Kirkpatrick
Yes,
and
ma'am.
Rivers?
Yes, ma'am.
But we don't see a Dunham in here. Job files.
Harmony Baptist Church. Do y'all have files on churches? Like, okay. Do y'all? Could we look into B? Okay.
That's how
Let's do one thing at the church. Yeah, that's the Baptist one. That's not historic houses. But they might have one on Bethel. They might have a file on Bethel.
Okay, so now you want to see if you find Hicklin.
Yeah, so we got Hickman right here. Y'all take who? Oh. Alright. So I searched.
Archive will be in Columbia.
Hey, what's going on, people? I know y'all saw the footage from earlier. So this is just like a continuation of that. I'm going to continue the story that you saw from earlier. But I'm also going to give you some tips and stuff if you want to kind of do what I did. All right, so earlier you saw the last thing you saw us doing was going to the library, which Chester, shout out to Chester County, very historical, and everybody was very helpful. Most of the people who I dealt with were white people, but they were like helpful in us finding information. So shout out to everybody. Anyway, Chester, historically, when y'all saw us going to the library, y'all saw that thing that said, like, it looked like it was like an archive,
Like it's secured.
locked off thing, like you had to have a slider card or something to get in. You just couldn't search it. So the reason that we were getting in there is because we had already went. Y'all saw the book. We had already went and saw that we was in history, or that the Dunhams were in history. We knew they had to be black Dunhams, and we knew that the Dunhams grew up in that area, and I knew that because of my dad. You just telling me like, yo, this is where they're from. So since they were black people and their last name were Dunhams, and they were in the area, we had a church to associate the Dunhams with as well. Then we knew we was on the right track. We knew they was black because the church on the documentation, it said colored. The church that they was talking about, it said colored. So anyway, y'all, that's why we were so happy when, or y'all saw me so happy when we had got those names, because we knew that was that church. It was associated with that church that we had been in for years, and that we found it in the right area that they would have grew up in, and that and they had they had our name. So that's why I was excited. And I was excited about the time and the year. of everything, and that in fact that it said colored, so we knew that it was black. All right, so anyway, moving forward, what ends up happening is we have to now we're left with either going to Columbia to go through the archives and find out if we can find out our genealogy, if we can find out if this John Dunham is our father, grandfather, whatever. But boom, great grandfather, great grandfather, dealing with the great greats, dealing with the great greats. Anyway, so that's where we're left at. So it was kind of a little bit disappointing because I wanted to find out everything in that, you know what I mean, in that whole right while we were there. So we got back to the house and I just couldn't let it go. So I ended up calling the number that they gave us, and I was gonna see how they could help me. What he really did, which I'm so thankful for because it gave me the answer, but what he really did was just basically direct me to Ancestry.com or FamilySearch.com. He told me that FamilySearch.org, my bad. He told me that FamilySearch.org was free. I had used Ancestry.com before to find my great grandfather on my mother's side. So I wanted to kind of find out what the Family Search was. Plus, I knew it was free, so I wanted to find out. I wanted to do that website. So I did their website and I liked it. It actually seems to be a little more user friendly to me, or just a little. It helps you help yourself a little bit more, if that makes sense, on that website. So what I end up doing is at first I got a little bit frustrated because I was finding Dunham names, and I was shooting out the names to my dad, and I had knew about them before because, like I said, I had been trying to find my great-great-grandfather for a while now, like 2 years. So I knew the names as well, and I was shooting them out, and my dad was like kind of knew and kind of didn't know some of the names, and so I was getting a little bit disappointed. But what I realized that I was doing is because we had the name that John Dunham, Moses Dunham, and Richard Rivers, we had those 3 names to go on. I was starting at those names and I was trying to work down. So what you need to do is work up. Find like the person and that's what I did. I was like, all right, so what I need to do is I remember doing a little family tree trying to find out this information. You know, I started to say who was my great grandfather, who was his brothers and all that, such and such, if we could get that information, or if you can get your grandfather. So I worked my way up the tree, and then once I found on the census, and you need to use the census, let me throw out some things. Like I said, and like you could probably find it all online. If you could probably do this all online, but these are the same things you would be looking for if you went out and did it as well. Birth certificate, death certificates, you know, any kind of medical records that you can probably find. A lot of those are confidential, but I don't know how it was back in the day. Deeds, titles, properties, any kind of public record type thing that you think that you might have somebody on. That's what you want. Those are the kind of areas that you want to go into, and you want to go into your genealogy. All right, so all those things are the type of things that I was searching. So what helped me particularly is the census, because the census it gave whoever was in the household. It gave the father, the mother, boom, 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 boom. All right, so once I finally got off the concept, because I was getting a little frustrated. Once I stopped trying to work down the tree and started working up the tree, then it started to make a lot of sense to me. So I knew, like, okay, once we know who my great grandfather is, his name was Tom Dunham. All of them got Tom in their name. We know his name was Tom Dunham. So we know who my great grandfather is. Once I saw the census, I saw I could get records of census. I'm like, because I was going with who his brothers was, and if I could find out because if I was like, maybe it might have more information, you know, because if you have like if you have like an uncle and they're like in the army or whatever, like they might have more documentation than just a death certificate or a birth certificate under their name, and then that could just leave you step up because it's gonna be the same thing if they brothers, they got the same father. So anyway, I was doing that, but once I said, okay, I know who my great grandfather is, if I can just get something on them. So I got on the census, I got the death certificate. Once I saw I got the death certificate, I got to it, I opened it up, I went to it, and it'll let you see the original document on there. So I cause that might confirm it, cause what it'll also do is it'll list like names, it'll list like brother, sister, boom, boom, almost like just like a list on a website page, you know what I mean? It doesn't, you're not looking at handwritten documents. But then it'll let you click on the actual picture. So that's what I did. I went and clicked on the actual picture, and I opened it up, and I went to who his father was, and then bingo, John Dunham. That's the first time in association with my lineage that I hear, that I know. So I'm knowing at that point, because it's crazy, because it's not like we went off my dad's name to kind of find it at first. We went to find a deed for, we knew that the church had an old association, a whole and real Black History Association. So it dates the church back, to 1878. We didn't know it was that far back, but we knew that the church had an old association. So we went there and found the association with the church, and then we found the names, and then we have to figure out who the names are. And then once we figure out who the names are, the name ended up being my great-great-grandfather. So that's the moment when I saw John Dunham on there, I was like, it is what it is, because it's like a whole piece. So you don't necessarily have to go my route. That might be the route that you have to go if you don't have, older people in your family that you can ask questions about. You might have to go find a deed, an older deed or older something, and they got all their family names, and then you might have to dig from there, and find it, and then, it'll kind of be more like the route I took. But if you're, if you have people in your family, you could really just go up your ancestry. If that's all you're trying to find, is trying to go back. I'm close now. If I'm thinking about it, man, I mean, I figure John Dunham had to be born a slave for him to be doing business in 1878. I'm gonna give him at least 20 years of age. And slavery in America didn't end to 1865. And we know that it quietly continued after that. So, you know what I mean? If you take 20 years from 1878, you're looking at 1858. That's just if you're 20. You feel me? So, I'm close to Africa. I'm close to knowing what my African heritage is. It's crazy. Y'all can do the same. You got the key ingredient to you tracing yourself back to Africa is the oldest living person in your family. So if y'all been neglecting grandma or grandpa, y'all might need to go take a visit. You know what I'm saying? They got some rich information. They might can trace you back to Africa. Yeah, man. So just rehashing, man. It was a great day. Had a lot of fun with Pops, man. We enjoyed ourselves. And I would never, that was a day in history for me, man. And for it all to actually like come together, it's crazy, man. It's like, I don't know, man. It's like some TV joint, man. You know what I mean? Like that's crazy. That's crazy. John Dunham. Thank you, John Dunham, man. You are an entrepreneur. You a leader. Like you are Like, I picture you, man. I picture you, great grandfather. I picture you like making that deal, like they putting that paper, like, boom. I don't know how much. I wonder how much. It was $5. One thing on the deal said $5. The other thing said $21. And it's a couple things that's all that was in the deal. You know what I'm saying? But $5, $5 and $21. I picture, man. I picture what you had to do to get that $5 and them $21, man. Them $26. That was a lot of money back in the day, probably, man. I don't even know. I'm gonna look up how much money $5 was in that time period, man. It's crazy, man. Make me want to cry almost, man. Come from a leader, baby.
Yeah, I'm already in it. Too deep, can't lose, gotta win it. Since I'm back on wax, I'ma kill it. Got the rock, I'ma run it like Emmett. Got the mic, I'ma run it like 50. And Ja rule anybody trying to get it. The race, yeah, I'm still in it. Forgot about Semaj, I'm offended. Heard that it was beef, then I call the ox and heard that it was ending. Heard that we was popular, heard that it was trending. Heard it ain't no stopping us, not until we finish. That may be a problem if we start from the beginning. Haters getting mad cause they starving and we winning. Sharks is in the water, better watch out where you swimming. You might drown. I can't lie, feel like I've been born again. Feel like I got it, feel like a nigga on again. The only difference is this time they get the grown man. A nigga learn something, I finally understand. I got a plan, got a grand in my hand. But I ain't gonna spend it, I invest it, flip it. Haters getting mad cause I'm the best, period. Cause I won't take a breath or take a rest. I'm serious, I won't take a breath or take a rest. I'm serious, I can sleep when I'm dead, period. I got too much in me not to get it out, homie. They asking who? I don't see no owls, homie. Got that eagle on me, better hope you people, homie. I'm undefeated, homie, no one else is equal, homie. I'm dropping teasers, previews only. But when you get the full episode, come see the homie. I quit my job, but I never clocked out. A nigga on the grind while you sleep knocked out. You can tell I want it, no stretching, no yawn.